know, we live in a beautiful industry. You know, bartenders today, they're really incredible. But, you know, we all work in an industry where chefs are stars now. Sommelier, wine waiter, they seems to know it all. And then there is us, bartender. But if I will give each one of those characters a job description, let me tell you how important the bartender is. A chef, he is an artist of work. We all know that because he will use his plate as his canvas. But he's also an incredible creator. He is there to make a work of art and to create what he does. But whatever he does behind the scene. That means do not disturb him. Then there is the wine waiter, a person who has an incredible knowledge. He knows everything about wine. But remember one thing, the wine waiter, a sommelier, he is not an artist and is not a creator. He has to use the creation of the winemaker to know how to combine with the creation of the food, of the chef. But he's an incredible, knowledgeable person. And then he comes to us, bartender, right? We are artists of work. You can all call me Michelangelo if you want, because I am Italian after all right? But also we are creators. Because the biggest dream for each one of us, what is it? Is to able to immortalize ourselves with a great drink that in 100 years' time somebody was still talking about. Think about the drinks that we all do today, from the Bloody Mary, the 1921, the Martini, the King of the Cocktail. Each one of those drinks, there is a creator behind. And we are here to replicate all today. We saw it with Tommy, and we saw it with Branko, who show you how, you know, the journey of the cocktail earlier on. But we also incredible, knowledgeable person, because a bartender today knows everything that there is to know what makes a great gin. And think about how big the umbrella of the gin is today. Vodka. Think about how big the umbrella of the vodka is. What makes one different from the other? Whiskey. You know, we have Scottish whiskey, we have American whiskey, we got Canadian whiskey, we got Japanese whiskey. We are a fund of information, and we like to pass this fund of information to our consumer, because the spirits is the canvas of our work of art. We use that. But remember, guys, it's all very well to have all this knowledge. But one thing that we don't do different from a chef, we don't hide. We are in the front of a counter, right? We're welcoming people. We are hosting. We are acting. And the better we act, the more people will come for us. Also, we are doctor. We always there to mix every kind of a remedy from a good time to a bad times, all right? So we by far better than a chef and by far better than any sommelier combined together. But let's host a little bit more. Let's give this wonderful aspect of bartender. In the old days, this was the most important thing that there was. Because in the 1920s, 1930s, that today, we all try to replicate that. The bar was very small. Bars didn't have all the spirits that we encounter today, but there was some great master behind the bar. There were some great people who knew how to host. And that's what I like to talk to you about, because for me, I became to be famous not through the bartender's world first. I became first famous through the consumer. The consumer was the one who brought my voice, my belief, my love to you lot. And remember, many of the great drinks that were created today, like the Negroni, was created for the consumer. All those drinks that we know today from the Manhattan were created for the consumer. And one thing I will ask for you, please smile a little bit more. I mean, I'll tell you a story, you know, from Italy I went to London, thanks to my dear lady wife there, Sue, many years. In the 80s, I find a little bar called the Duke's Hotel, very charming, small little place, which only had 6 tables. And the total revenue for that bar was between £300 to £400 per week. When I took over that bar, and thank God sometimes, you know, I needed luck in life. I mean, I went there for the job, and they gave me a part-time job. But just before Christmas, they told me, Mr. Calabrese, we find a bartender that we love. I said, okay, thank you very much. 3 days later, they called me back. He like the job back. And thankfully, it was a very cold winter, and this bartender decided to do a hot toddy, which he flambéed the bar and the customer, so his career went up to smoke, and mine started with a flame. That's how I got the job at the Duke's at the time. And after 6 months, I was trying to figure out what I could do with this small little bar called the Duke's Bar, which today is famous all throughout the world for the martini. And I thought London, very historical town, Duke's, very historical name, and there I was facing all this history, and one thing I was missing, it was the history behind the bar. And that's where I come out with this idea of selling liquid history. And by having this idea of searching and finding something that you can only think about, Napoleon was marching over to Russia, 1811. You know, the 1805, I have a bottle of 1805 Sazerac, which you think about the Battle of Trafalgar. All these bottles that I have, which I have over 1,000 bottles at the moment, I used to give an excuse to the customer to talk about it. And there the bar became to be famous with the rich and famous, and I started to have people like Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stone. I mean, I remember the Rolling Stone, they used to come for martini and a beer. Ronnie Wood used to drink the beer. And then I used to go into cognac. I did not know, who they were, and they were certainly not well dressed. And at one point, they were running a bill between £2,000 to £3,000, and I thought, oh my God, I hope they have money to pay the bill. Just to tell you the story short, that the Duke's Bar, from £300 to £400 a week, only by creating a marketing tool and knew how to host, the bar started to make anything up to £10,000 per table. That small little bar. And that, there was no music, there was no entertainer, there was only one single individual person, that was me, hosting and giving love and care for each one of them. And everyone who was anybody would walk through that bar. And I'm very proud that today that bar is still a legacy, and the same way that I made another bar called the Lanesborough as a legacy, the library bar. And that means, my legacy, guys, is not how well I make the drink. My legacy is to be a gentleman behind the bar, care for each one of you. It doesn't matter. The dress code, never read a person by his book. And that is very, very important. I told my guys many times there. Once I was at the bar at 50 and walked in the middle of the afternoon, and I saw 3 of my guys talking with each other, and there was one guy at the end of the bar, and this guy was just standing on his own, and that's something for me is taboo. And I said to my guys, what do you do, guys? I said, well, we're just trying to organize the bar before the bar opened. I said, no, you're talking with each other, but there is a customer at the end of the bar on his own. And they turned around, yes, Salvatore, but he's only drinking Coca-Cola. Big mistake, guys. Never presume, never read the book by its cover. There I was, I'd go and talk to this person, and I said, good evening, good afternoon to you, sir, how are you? My name is Salvatore, welcome to my bar. And he says, Salvatore, I heard so much about this bar, and I want to know why. And that's what it was. Anyhow, eventually I introduced him to my cognac collection, and guess what, guys? From one Coca-Cola, which costed £3.50, he bought me a cognac which was worth £1,000. And just to show you that only because we presume somebody, we don't want to give him our time. We are quiet, we give all the time that there is.